Ian Lara here. I'm still in the middle of my tour. If you want to see me on the road, I'm going to be in Vancouver, Canada next weekend. In June, I have a bunch of dates coming up. I have Levity Live in West Nyack, New York. I have Washington, D.C. I'm going to be at the D.C. Improv. And I think I'm going to be in Cincinnati. Yeah, I have Go Bananas in Cincinnati. So check out my website, ianlaralive.com, for more road dates and come see me on the road. Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Ian Lara coming at you live with my guy, DJ 8 p.m. What's up, 8 p.m.?
Hey, that's me. That coming was kind of hard. Pause. You emphasized the C on that one a little bit.
My fault, man.
We here.
It's the jet lag in me. It's the jet lag in me. This is what, episode six?
This is six. Yeah,
This is
six.
six. Yeah, we're doing this. We're not in person on this one. We're doing this on location. I'm in Dubai.
Uh huh.
Yeah,
That's right.
the Holy Land.
Uh huh.
um, I just got here. I've been traveling. All over, and May was just been a crazy month for me. I decided I wasn't gonna do any shows in the States in May,
Uh
and
huh.
I just went international with it. So I've been everywhere from Africa to then
Uh
I went to
huh.
Canada, then I came back to Dubai, and after this I'm going back to Canada to Vancouver.
Shout out to Drake.
Yeah.
We got big reviews from your Drake story. What's going on, people?
Did people like
What's up, my
did people like
brothers?
the Dre story?
I think people really like what you're doing right now in the different time zones. The time traveling one, I began nothing but positive feedback in a negative way. I don't know if that makes sense, but I
Same,
had to put
same.
that out
Yeah,
there.
I seen a lot of positive feedback in a negative way
Mm-hmm.
also. Um, but that one, listen, the time travel story, if you haven't listened to it, listen to our last episode where
Yep.
we break down the art of time traveling. And that one was difficult for us because that was a secret that honestly us putting it out there was not, we could have got a lot of flack for that.
We basically just put out our own algorithm. Like we canceled our own success before it even took off. But it's all right.
Right.
It's all right. We're here for the people.
Yeah, and we spoke about this off air, and I was just like, you know what? We owe this to the game. The game has given us a lot,
Uh huh.
so it's the least we could do is to give back. Sometimes you got
We
to give
we
back,
owe it. We owe it to society.
right? So if you haven't listened to it, go listen to that episode. We're cooking now, baby.
In the kitchen,
Yeah,
you know.
I was gonna take
So are you?
I was gonna take this week off because, like I said, the tour schedule has been so crazy that I was like, you know what, I couldn't get back to New York to record this episode, so I was gonna take this week off. But then the people were like, "Nah, we're in it now. You can't take a week off."
You can't.
Yeah,
No, we're all the way in. We are all the way live, and we are all the way here for the people. I feel like I'm back in 2020, like full 2020, because we're doing this online.
yeah.
How awkward were Zoom comedy specials or Zoom comedy sets?
To be honest, I'm gonna be. At first I thought they were gonna be crazy, and I thought it would be like super undoable. But after
Mm-hmm.
you learn how to do it, and it wasn't that bad. The only thing
Mm.
is, the only you had to learn how to do it. It took a little while to learn how to do it. It's like you couldn't do it like you were doing normal stand up, right? But if you
Mm-hmm.
treated
Mm-hmm.
it like you were telling a story and made your
Mm-hmm.
jokes more in a story form, it worked. Like
Mm-hmm.
I would do it, people would laugh. It was not bad, and it was nice because even if it was bad and it was terrible, you were in your living room, so you just shut down your computer and go about your business.
And get your Netflix on.
Right, and then you will get paid
Okay.
for it. So I honestly, obviously live is better, but I miss it a little bit. But I remember I did a couple shows because I was doing a lot of shows for like colleges because colleges were online, so they would hire comedians. I did a couple of them where it was just one on one. That was a little tough.
One-on-one comedy?
Yeah, like picture I get hired to do a show and I log in and then it's just you. So it's just you and me.
Oh, I mean, we're boys though, so like I feel like I would have a good time. But imagine you did that with like I can't even imagine somebody who didn't have a sense of humor
Bro,
or
I
like
did it. I've done it first of all, every time I did it, it was with a girl. And I did it maybe 3 times. And two of the times I did it, she didn't even turn on her mic. So it was
so
just
you
me
was just
ranting into silence.
silence. Oh my goodness. So you're built for it tough. You can withstand anything
I
now.
mean, I've been through some things, you know. I don't like
Jet
to brag about war stories, but I've been through some things.
jet lag and silent comedy sets, bro. That should be the name of your next special.
So what's up, man? How's New York? First of all, I gotta get into Africa. I'm not even gonna talk about Dubai, Canada, because I feel like I gotta talk about Africa because people want to know.
Get right into it.
But
Yeah, get
first,
right
how's
into it.
New York though? Give me an update on New York.
New York is New Yorking, man. You know, once it gets warm, everybody's outside. Casamigos starts flowing from the sky. Instead of windstorms, it's hooper storms. So it's just like it's looking like it's gonna be another one of those crazy, epic New York summers.
See, that's the tough part. When you on the road, like when you on the road and you go on Instagram and you see that it's 80 degrees plus in New York,
Mm-hmm.
that hurts. That hurts.
It should. It should. Nobody told you to be popping. Nobody told you to be
Yeah,
passporting.
that is a choice
So
I made.
this
Yeah,
you made that choice.
yeah.
Like, sorry, dude.
You know, it brings back the ratchet in you. Like you just want to go, you just want to hop on a plane and go
Oof.
back and be ratchet. You know.
Oof, yeah, I know. And when those instances happen, I just like I go to church
Hmm.
or I throw on some gospel,
Look for the Lord. Yeah,
because like
yeah,
yeah, you definitely gotta look for somebody who's not indulgent. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Hmm.
But yeah,
I hear that,
uh,
and especially
when do you
now
get back?
because when you're older, right? Like brunch culture becomes even more of a thing. Because obviously, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everybody knows the best part about brunch is you're home by 6 p.m.
Can I just say that there's some inaccuracy when that comes to like to a head, just
Speak
because
on it.
like
Speak on it.
yeah, like that's true. Usually the plan, like, oh yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna go to
yeah,
brunch,
yeah,
and then just gonna drink, and then I'll be home by like 7 p.m.
yeah,
Wrong, wrong,
yeah.
because alcohol is a lubricant. So next thing you know, all right, let's say you have brunch reservations for 2 p.m. Right, that's reasonable, and let's say that you also have bottomless mimosas or open open tap on the champagne.
Yeah,
Next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. and you're like, man, how did this happen?
yeah,
You're throwing up outside of the side
yeah.
of a cab, and you're like, damn, I was supposed to be home at
You bring up a good
7
point.
a.m.
You bring up a good point because alcohol definitely is lube, and I I have in many of times had a brunch plan for 2 o'clock, and in New York you could easily end up out till 4 in the morning because New
Easily.
York City knows this, right? So
Yes.
there's like venues that cater to this. They cater to the post
Yes.
brunch drunk,
Yes.
can't go home,
Yes.
can't get a
Yes.
grip people.
Yes. And it's the in between too, the segue of okay, I'm just gonna go get Five Guys or Chipotle. We need sponsorships from both of them,
Yeah.
and then sober up, and then go to the next spot.
You know, it helps to have somebody with you. Like it helps to go with somebody that has some type of self-control.
Ugh. Yeah, you're right.
But there
That's true, and I need more people like that in my life.
right, but there is something that is off-putting. Like if you see it on Instagram, people talk like it's all positive, which I get it, but
Mm-hmm.
there is something off-putting about being drunk and horny at 5:30 p.m. on the Lord's day.
Yes, there is. There, you're absolutely right.
And
And you have to handle that because nobody wants to walk around with a loaded weapon. New York, that's 3 years.
right, exactly. And I mean, you DJ brunches, right? So you're out there.
Yes.
You're in the trenches.
I'm protected though. I'm protected by the Lord.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Amen.
Yeah.
Um,
Amen.
yeah. But anyways, dude, Africa. Gotta talk about Africa. That
Hold on. Before we talk about Africa, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Romeo Santos of comedy. Lara, the entertainer. Okay, I had to give you an intro.
oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Africa, dude. I mean, it was just an amazing experience. I gotta say, it was just, I really wanted to do Africa because you don't really hear people talk about it as much. I mean, now is more mainstream because there's so much great music coming out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
music scene is really shining light on it, but you don't hear
Mm-hmm.
people talk like every time. And look, I hope this don't sound bad, but every time you hear Africa, like people hear Africa who don't know about it, they just assume that it's a whole just poor continent that you're gonna go and it's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
be any roads or running water, which
Propaganda.
which couldn't be further from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Kenya for almost 2 weeks. I went to Nairobi, flew
Wow.
to Nairobi. Um, Amazing, just amazing. Seeing so much black excellence over there, like it's so, and I love everybody. It's not about race or anything, but it's so different to be in a place where 100% the black people are the majority,
Mm-hmm.
and there's white people there, and they're great too, but they're the
Mm-hmm.
minority, and it's just a funny thing to see the flip.
Yeah.
Like everywhere you go, it's just black people and black excellence too. Like you speak to somebody and
Uh-huh.
they're like, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm
Uh-huh.
an engineer.
Uh-huh.
And it's just the norm. It's not anything like, like, oh my God, it's just the norm.
Yeah.
That was amazing. So let's start before I
Oh,
even
that's
go.
amazing.
Let's start before I even go. So I'm supposed to go, I'm doing shows out there, whatever.
Uh-huh.
So I get booked to do shows out there, and
Mm-hmm.
the producer of the show, he tells me, they we do the contract, whatever, they send me the thing. He sends me the money
Mm-hmm.
to buy my own flight, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking up flights before I go. This is like a month or two before I go, and I'm like, okay, I want to go. I'm looking up. I see Qatar Airlines. There's KLM could get you there. This thing. Then I see that
Mm-hmm.
there's Kenya Airways.
Mm-hmm.
There's an airline called Kenya Airways that flies direct from New York JFK to Nairobi, Kenya. Now, this is
Convenient.
the only airline that goes direct. Qatar,
Uh-huh.
Qatar Airlines, which is like known as like obviously a great airline, rich
Yeah.
from rich Qatar, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll get you there, but they're like 5 6 hours more, and you got to do a
Yeah.
layover in like Qatar, Doha, whatever. There's no direct flights. So in my head,
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I'm going to Kenya, right? I want to let me do Kenya Airways because I look up the airline and it's like the government owns the airline. So I'm like, all right, let me just help. I'll help out the local government. I'm going to a place. I want to help them out. Not help them out, but I
Uh-huh.
want to. Let me indulge in their things, bring money to their economy, right?
Uh-huh.
So I buy a ticket on Kenya Airways. I tell the guy, the producer, shout out to Eric in Kenya, great dude. I tell him that he's a comedian, a producer over there. I tell him that I'm going to be flying Kenya Airways, and he starts like laughing at me. He's like, "Why would you fly Kenya Airways?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like I thought I'm helping out I thought I was helping out your economy." And apparently, I wasn't aware of this, but Kenya Airways is the Spirit Airlines of Africa, if you will.
Oh, got him.
Yeah,
Got him.
right,
Uh-oh.
right. But I'm like, it's internet. Like, how can it be? It's a 15-hour flight. How can it be?
Uh-huh.
How can it be Spirit? Spirit works 1 to 4 hours, right? Anything after
Yeah.
that, it's borderline a war crime to be on Spirit.
Basically. Yeah.
So I remember, I'm like, okay, I'm a comedian, right? I remember what I did.
Yes, you are.
I remember what I did with Liquid Death. Shout out to Liquid Death, where I shouted
We
them
still
out.
didn't get our
I
cans.
shouted them out on the thing, and they sent me, a package. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
let me hit up Kenya Airways and see if I could finesse my way, because I'm not in first class or business. I got a coach ticket. I'm in the
Uh-huh.
I'm in the back with the hood. Um,
But yeah.
so I'm like, let me message him. I got some followers, little, verified. Let me message him and see if I could get an upgrade on Clout, basically.
Uh, uh-huh.
So I messaged him. First of all, I sent them a message on Instagram. They answered me
Mm-hmm.
immediately. It was like I was like, what are you guys doing up? Like I've never got.
how did how did you know this message was
Yeah,
coming? Like
dude,
what?
I've never got such a quick response to a DM in my life. First of all, I
Ever.
got more
Uh-huh.
followers than the airline, so that right there, I'm like, oh, this ain't
They,
great.
they should have they should have gave you the private jet.
That's what
Okay,
I'm
I'm
saying.
listening.
So I messaged them. I'm like, hey, Kenya Airways. They respond immediately. What's up? I'm like, what's up? Like, I'm like, what?
Uh-huh.
Why are you guys so readily available to answer me? So
Uh-huh.
so they answer me. We're talking. We're going back and forth. I feel like I'm talking to a friend. Like it's it's
Uh-huh.
no type of like professional. It's just like a friend
Business.
conversation. Yeah. So after a couple words, I shoot my shot. I say, "Hey man, I'm flying to Nairobi on this date.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Uh-huh.
going Kenya Airways. I have um, I have a direct flight from New York to Nairobi, and I'm going out there to do shows. I'm doing shows all over, stand up comedy all over Nairobi. Do you guys think you could give me some type of upgrade on the price of on the house
Uh-huh.
in return for some positive promo?"
Promotion.
Right.
Uh-huh.
That, once I said that, they stopped answering. Um,
They took a long time to respond. Yeah.
about 2 days. About 2 days.
Okay. Okay.
It went from back and forth conversation to 2 days, no answer.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I
Uh-huh.
think nothing of it. 2 days, I get a reply. I'm like, hey, uh, no, we can't do it. You gotta do this. You gotta pay whatever. They basically told me we don't know who you are. No, we can't do this for you. Don't ever talk to us again.
Yes. Again.
I said no problem. I go on my flight, which, by the way, I gotta say this. By the way, it wasn't a bad flight. It was good. They were good. They were fine. They were like
Uh-huh.
a good airline. They were great. Like I had no issues. Boarding was fine. They had the food was fine. The customer service was good. The seats were nice. It
Mm-hmm.
was no problem at all. So I took my
Mm-hmm.
flight to Kenya, but I get there and I'm telling everybody that they didn't give me an upgrade, and everybody's laughing at me,
Uh-huh.
telling me how bad of an airline
They
Kenya
are.
is. So I get a thing in my head. I'm like, okay, interesting. I'm like, let me do this experiment. I'm like, let me do some jokes about Kenya Airways, right? I'm like, I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
do some jokes about them. I'm gonna do them, and I'll see how it goes. And if the jokes go good, I'm gonna post the jokes about Kenya Airways and see if I have any type of pull. Because I was like, it got to liquid death, which was random.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see
Mm-hmm.
if I could do some jokes and it'll reach the people at Kenya Airways, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I do a couple bits, nothing crazy. I just do a couple bits making fun of them for being a cheap airline and answering me on Instagram or whatever. Do a couple bits.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't get the video back till I'm in the States. So I'm fast forwarding to when I'm in the States, I get my video. I post it on on my Instagram, the video Kenya Airways, and it starts taking off. Bunch of views.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's up to 100,000 views. People over
Mm-hmm.
there in Kenya start sharing it. I get a
Mm-hmm.
message. I wake up. I'm in Canada. I wake up. I get a message from Kenya Airways, a DM.
Uh-huh.
They follow me, and I get a DM. The DM goes, "Hey, we saw your joke."
Hey, big head.
Yeah, it was very hey big headed, very hey big
Hey,
headed.
big head.
They were like,
We saw your joke.
"Hey, we saw your joke about Kenya Airways. We thought it was hilarious. We're wondering if you're still in Nairobi because we want to invite you to upgrade to our premium lounge on your flight back home, and we want to show you just how good of an airline we are." Now I'm home. I'm already home, so I left them on scene. I
Uh-huh.
left them on scene. I didn't even
Ooh.
reply to them. But I
Uh-huh.
think this is a new thing for me. I think now, if you don't give me free stuff as a brand, I'm going to
You're
make
making
fun of you.
fun? Wow.
That's my new thing. So
I respect
now
it.
I feel like I have a resume of like
Mm-hmm.
If you don't give me the free things that I want, I'm gonna write
I'm
jokes
roasting
about you.
you.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's my
I think that that is maniacal, but I would do the exact same thing.
it.
So
It is.
kudos to you, my brother. Um, I think next time you fly, um, you got to get some Delta jokes. You know what? I think we got to do private jet jokes. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I try to do what's the private jet company, Net Jets or something like that. Let's just see. Let's see how far we can take this experiment because I am definitely doing this out of selfish reasons to be the plus one.
I mean, I
Hello.
do everything out of selfish reasons. Yeah, for sure.
you know,
Yeah,
I still didn't get my Liquid Death T-shirt yet, but that's a story for another time.
yeah.
Um, that's crazy.
It's fascinating how much, but I'm thinking that like maybe these companies like publicity no matter what, if it's good or bad,
Uh
which
huh.
is fine,
Uh
which
huh.
is fine. But I
Uh
feel
huh.
like I'm not asking for nothing. I'm not asking for anything crazy. Like Liquid Death, they send me
No.
a bunch of cans of Liquid Death. It's water, perfect. Thank you,
Uh huh.
thank you. I feel like they could have, they could have upgraded me to premium economy,
They could have.
and
So
now these companies are gonna pay because if I want something free, I'm going to threaten you with jokes.
so basically, you're using your comedy as Yelp on steroids. You know that, right?
That's a good. You bring up a good point. Yeah, I didn't realize that, but I think this is what I'm doing.
Like,
I'm basically like a white lady. Like I'm yelping
you, yes,
about your
you
business.
are. I think you are Karinisha, Karinisha,
Yeah.
Karanisha,
Yes, that's a black
right?
white lady. Yeah.
Karanisha.
Yeah.
Yes, you are Karanisha,
Yes.
and I respect it because I, again, out of selfish reasons, you know what it is. I need leg room. I don't even want
Sure.
premium economy.
I
Just
thought
put
about that,
put
man. I thought about that because you're like what 5'10",
yeah.
so you
Uh,
must
maybe sprinkle a little more on there. Sprinkle a little more on there.
whatever. But you must need
I'm out.
like
I'm
a couple more inches on the leg room.
I'm definitely Mr. Emergency Exit for sure.
Yes.
Like at bare minimum. So again, I respect the weaponizing of your following. Hold on. Before I continue, what do we call our following? Are they the adulterers? Is that what we're going
I
with?
think it's fluid. I think it's fluid
Is
what we
fluid?
call them. Yeah. It's ever changing. I like adulterers.
Ever change? Okay.
Um
Uh-huh.
but it's ever changing, it depends how they act, Um
Okay, okay. Yeah.
I gotta say, which is look, that's like that brings up like it brings us to like a good thing about adulting, which is like I feel like that's part of being an adult. You have to know how to finesse the things you want.
Oh, this is a great topic. You have to finesse. Basically, after like your cuteness goes
Right,
away as a kid,
right.
you basically are in the finesse of your life. You have to learn how to finesse all different kind of situations. And I want to give a big shout out to all the adulterers out there that have been tuning in from week one. If this is your first time listening or your last time listening, because a lot of people hitting us up on our socials and letting us know that adulting is not easy. So to the adulterers out there, please get your pen and paper out because we're about to give. Is this like the finesse rules? Are we gonna give finesse rules? How are we
Yes.
gonna do this?
Yeah.
Because you
First of
stumbled
all,
onto gold.
I hope it's not your last time listening.
No, definitely not.
Unless you're dying, which if that's the case, rest in peace. It's been a good run, but other than that, I think you should tune
Yeah.
in. Um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, finesse, it's important because a lot of people think and I'm not I wouldn't consider myself a famous person by any means. I did get recognized 3 4 times in Kenya though. That was a big deal for me. Um,
That's a big deal, bro.
yes. Um, but I will say sometimes people see celebrities or influencers, if you will, on social media living a life that may seem expensive or fancy, but all of it, I would say, from what I've seen. not all of it, a lot of it is just them finessing their clout into these
You have
things.
to finesse. You have to finesse, and you have to figure out what you basically your leverage on how to
What your
finesse.
finesse
And I give you
is.
an yes. What is your finesse strategy?
Yes.
I'll give you an example. So I've been basically a big person the majority of my life now. And with that comes its perks and privileges.
Yeah.
This is prior to social media because, or prior to like everybody really like Googling.
Hmm.
There was a time in my life where I would just say, "Hey, my name is Malik Jones,
Yes.
generic black name.
Yes.
I play. I'm on I'm the 54th man on an NFL roster,
Yes.
and you know that brings me free cheesecake, maybe a couple of drinks. You know what I'm saying? You got to figure out your finesse strategy because you can use that in situations to get yourself some free stuff.
I had a friend, I had an old coworker, who he was a tall dude again. He played football in college. He went to like a good
Mm-hmm.
school. He played
Mm-hmm.
football in college. And
Mm-hmm.
after college, he actually made it to try out for an NFL team. He
Oh,
actually made it to
okay.
tryouts. So he was at training camp. He was there a couple weeks. Then he got cut. Never played football again.
Uh-huh.
Now, I had met this guy 5 years after. I met him 5 years after he tried out for an NFL team. He was
Uh-huh.
still reaping the benefits of trying out for a professional football team. If you looked at his Instagram page, you would think you
Uh-huh.
would think that he was on the Super Bowl squad,
Yeah.
because he was still using that leverage of when he tried out for the football team 5 years prior.
Uh-huh.
In normal life, in modern life, he was using it to meet women. You have to find out. Now listen, all of us are not going to be extremely talented successful comedians like me or ex pro NFL players. So
Yes.
you have to find the thing that is for you and use
For
it
you.
as leverage.
Absolutely. So basically what you're saying is that he had compound interest. Like that's called compound finesse interest, where that little bit of whatever, because it's not celebrity, that little bit of leverage, he reaping the benefit. Wow,
Yes. He
that's that's phenomenal.
Right. I mean, it was he should have gave a class on this, because this is what you have to do in life. Life would throw you some opportunities, but you got to learn how to parlay them, you know?
You definitely have to learn how to
He
parlay them.
he
The parlay is key.
he for lack of a better term, he refinanced his clout.
Is that a t-shirt? Marty, are you listening? Hold on. I'm texting my producer right now because that is gold.
There you
We
go.
refinanced the clout. There you go. Thumbs up.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
You
Gold.
have to
This is
learn
called
how
gold.
to refinance your clout. When God blesses
Yeah.
you with things such as a 1 day NFL tryout where you get cut immediately, use that for the
Uh-huh.
rest of your life.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Wow. I actually just pulled out my notebook. So does that make me an adulterer? Refinance the clout.
Yes. That's very important part of adulting, you know. And listen, we're just here
If
to give the tips on how to get by. We don't make the
hold on,
rules.
hold on. Did we put our disclaimer in the front? Um, don't listen to us, but definitely listen to this
Don't
podcast because
listen
this
to
is
us.
gold.
Definitely listen to the podcast. All the advice is bad
Yeah,
advice.
it's all bad advice, but at the same time too,
Try it out though.
refinance the
Try it
club.
out. What do you have
Try it.
going for you? Nothing.
Try
Just
it.
listen to
Try
our.
it.
Try it out. Maybe your life will improve.
Try it.
It probably won't, but
Yeah,
try it. You know.
man. Yeah.
I went to the safari. Now, have you done a safari?
I went to the Bronx Zoo.
That's honestly close, but not exactly what I was talking about. Um,
Okay. Okay.
I went to the Masai Mara, is what they call it. Is
Uh
is
huh.
the it's in Kenya. It was a 7 hour drive from Nairobi to the Masai Mara.
7
7 hour. And
hours.
listen, I know I talked about like Nairobi, Kenya, that's the capital. It's one of the biggest cities in Africa. This is like a major city. When you're in Nairobi, Kenya, you're not gonna feel like you're in any type of like, developing country or anything like that. However, in
Mm-hmm.
this 7 hour drive, we went into the real the real streets of Kenya, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
This was
or the clay roads, you mean? Because
yes,
when you go to Africa, yes, it's all red clay,
all
right?
red clay. What is with the red clay?
Bro, that's just the natural dirt. I ain't take a science class, but I think that's the way that the dirt is works over there.
Dude, it was raining too when we went.
Uh-huh.
I thought you
Uh-huh.
would have thought you were on Mars with the
Uh,
red clay. It's just all red dirt.
red clay. Yeah. Oof.
And I
But
was in a safari car, which those safari
uh-huh.
vehicles, they might look fun, but
Uh-huh.
they're not made for comfort.
They're not. No, no, no,
They're
no.
made for off-road.
Did you get a concussion because of the?
I don't know if I got a concussion because I was so jet lagged that I felt like I had a concussion the
Uh-huh.
whole time I was there.
Uh-huh.
But dude, it was. I'll tell you this. I wear my Apple Watch. You know,
Yes.
and
Yes.
the ride was so rough that at the end of the ride, at the end of the 7 hour trip on my Apple Watch, my workout, I had burned. It said I had burned 3,500 calories. It was the most I've ever burned. My Apple Watch was like, "What is going on?"
This guy traded for a
Yeah, my
marathon.
Apple Watch is like, "What is
Damn.
going on?" I had about 5.5 hours of workout and like 3,500 calories burned. That's just from the rocking back and forth in the in the
Damn.
in the vehicle. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, but we got there. The safari, I was on a literal. It was. Have you heard of glamping?
Yes.
Glamping is supposed. For those of you who don't know, glamping is supposed to be like camping, but it's supposed to be
But
glamorous.
look,
And
yeah.
by glamorous and luxurious, that's what they call it. And by luxurious, I mean you have a toilet.
Uh-huh.
That's as far as the luxury goes in it.
That's the highest end.
Yes, it is. It is a
Yeah.
big tent. It is a big tent in the middle of the Mara. I don't know if it's a jungle, a far. I don't know what they call it. It's just woods basically,
Nature.
nature,
Nature. Let's call it
right?
nature. Uh-huh.
Is run by the Maasai people, which is a tribe over there in Kenya. Great people,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just in the woods. You're just in the outdoors. In fact,
So this 7 hour trip, it wasn't like so you stayed outside, like you were outside with lions and
yes,
giraffes and stuff?
yes, yes.
Oh,
You
whoa.
stay you
Okay.
you
All right. I'm
you
sorry.
stay on a camp base. The camp has about the one I was in had 12 tents. 12 it was very
Mm-hmm.
nice. It was very nice. It had 12 bedroom tents and then about three or
Okay.
four tents. Then it had a dining tent. Then it had a dining tent, a bar tent, and like a lounge area. And
Oh, so you was in the tennis state.
yes, I was in a
Okay.
tent state. And
Okay.
it's so much you're so out there that outside of my tent, I had to have a guard.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guard that stayed outside of my
Mm-hmm.
tent all night because
Mm-hmm.
the hippos, which by the way, hippos, the wildest animal in the thing. People think is like lions. The most dangerous animal is the hippo. I learned that. Yes.
Really? Really?
Hippos will come up to the tent and there was a guard there with a stick to shoo them away.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I asked the guard, I'm like, if a hippo's, I'm like, do you have a gun? He's like, no. I'm like, do you have any type of knife or weapon? He's like, he's
Tranquilizer?
like, no. And I'm like, so if a hippo decides to attack, what are you supposed to do? And he was like, I can alert you to run. And I was like,
Run.
th-
Hmm.
yeah. I was like, I feel like I would get that. I feel like if a hippo was coming, I feel like my natural instinct would know to run. And he was like, "Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's my job." So he stayed there. I stood there 2 nights in the
Mm-hmm.
in the jungle, in the forest, whatever you call it. 2 nights.
Mm-hmm.
On the second night, hippos actually did come up to the tent.
Uh-huh.
I'm laying there because I wasn't sleeping because I'm still jet lagged. So it's 3 in the morning, and I
Uh-huh.
was waking up at 3 in the morning every day to watch the Nick game on my iPad.
Uh-huh.
Because they got
Uh-huh.
Wi-Fi on in the tents.
Oh,
Um,
in the
yeah,
tents?
they got Wi-Fi. They're very modern. Uh, Hippos came up to the thing. I hear them. I hear the hippos like they're outside of my tent. I hear they make noise. They make
Uh-huh.
hippo noises, but you don't really know.
What is a hippo noise, please, for the listeners for this audio
Yeah,
journey?
for the people who don't know about animals, it's a hippo noise is kind of like a hog. It's kind of like
Marty, we gotta clip that up. What is it?
yeah, it's kind of like that. It's
Okay.
it's very aggressive and loud though. But I had no idea. I
Yes.
had no idea how close the hippos actually got to the tent. And then the next day, I
Uh-huh.
wake up. The sun comes up 6, 7 in the morning, and you go for breakfast. And when I was walking for breakfast, the guard he's standing there. He's standing outside, like exactly how I left him. It would be like you
Mm-hmm.
ever saw Ace Ventura, when nature calls.
Pet detective?
When nature calls,
Yes.
he goes to Africa. The
Uh-huh.
tribe people, they were. I found out that Pet Detective. I mean that when Nature Calls was made, it was a made up country, but it was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be Kenya, like a country in
Mm.
that region. They were taking stuff from different countries in that region, and Kenya was one of the main ones. So the tribes
Mm-hmm.
people were similar to what they were mocking in that movie. So he's standing out there. He hasn't moved, and like I left him there 8 hours ago. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you just been out here? He's like, yeah. And he was like, the hippos came up to the tent last night, and he's showing me the footprints, and the footprints are literally 10 feet maybe away from my tent. And I was
Yo.
like, what point would you have woke me up and told me to run? And he was like, if they moved 1 foot closer.
Huh.
So I
Okay.
was like, what did
Okay.
you do when the hippos came? And he was like, with the stick, I just told them to move. Now, hippos, they weigh 3,000 pounds. I don't know pounds, but they're heavy.
Uh, they
Yeah,
heavy.
I'm like,
They're not light.
yeah, I'm like, if they would have attacked you, what would you have done? But apparently, these people grow up in this environment, so they're
Mm.
connected to these animals a lot more
Mm.
than your regular person. So they
Mm-hmm.
don't see them as
Mm-hmm.
threats; they see them as
Mm-hmm.
people.
Or like dogs.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Maybe
better.
like you know how some people are dog people?
Yeah, yeah, like those dog trainers that go in and put their hand in
Like
pit bull.
Caesar Milan.
Yeah. They'll put their hand in pit bulls'
Yeah.
mouths, but they'll be like, "Oh, the pit bull will be ready
Uh-huh.
to attack," and they're like, "I know what to do," and they just
Uh-huh.
put their hand in their mouth.
Uh-huh.
They're like that.
And then the people still bites them,
Yeah,
but they seem calm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The pit bull bites their hand
Mm-hmm.
off, and they're like, "Yeah, this is what's supposed to happen."
Yeah.
It's like that.
That's crazy.
Insane.
Low hanging fruits, but were the hippos hungry?
They are, and you know that they're the hungry hippo. That's what it is. Sometimes you hear these things as kids or as adults, whatever, and you're like, "Oh, that's just a saying, the hungry, hungry hippo." But no, they're hungry hippos because they're hungry.
They're hungry, bro. If you're 3,000 pounds, I think you're full time hungry. Like, when are you ever full? When are you ever satisfied?
Right, and they only apparently they're in the water during the day because they have real sensitive skin,
Uh huh.
and they can only take they can't take sun. They're like white people. They're allergic to the
And
sun.
there's no lotion for them.
Right.
There's no
They
SPF
can't put sunblock.
hippo.
Yeah, they're allergic to the
No,
sun,
they can't.
so they can't. They
Uh
only
huh.
come out at night. So that's when they come out to
At
get their
night.
food. Yeah,
Ah, so hippos are vampires.
kind of. They're the vampires of the
Okay.
of the wild, if you will.
Uh,
But
do they?
go ahead.
What do they eat? Like, do they eat meat and stuff, or is this all like grass and stuff? Like, are they like
I
cows,
think
like aggressive
I
cows?
think they eat whatever's there. They eat everything
Do
from
they eat
grass
humans?
to people. Yeah, they've killed a couple humans. They're the
That's
number one. My my safari tour guide was telling me, George, that was his
Uh,
name. Which, by the way, I don't feel.
shout out
I went to.
George.
I'm in Kenya, and all these people on the plantation, they have the not the plantation on the camp and the camp, they have
Uh
these
huh.
American names.
Regular
Yeah, well,
names.
I'm like, this
Yep.
ain't your name. I'm like, what's your name? It's like Austin, Jackson,
Uh
George.
huh.
And I'm like, you're in a
Ryder.
tribe. This isn't your name. They're like, no, it's my name. It's like when you ever called like customer service and some guy in
Uh
Mumbai picks
huh.
up and he's like, yeah, my name is
Uh
Jefferson.
huh.
And you're like, no, it's not.
Uh huh. No, it's not.
Yeah. But
Oh, my name is Dennis.
yes, yes. But my tour guide, George, we called him George of the Jungle. Uh he didn't like that. But
Hmm.
we called him George of the Jungle. He told me that the number one killer of animals, like the killer of people in Kenya is
Hmm.
actually hippos. Yeah.
Wow.
So we went on the safari. I saw all the animals. I almost saw the top five. We saw elephants, giraffes,
Hmm.
lions,
Hmm. Hmm.
buffaloes,
Hmm.
wildebeest. I saw a cheetah.
Hmm.
I saw giraffes. We saw everything, and it's honestly a crazy experience being so close. And you go on these safaris, right? And part of you, you're like you like want somebody to get eaten, or something. You're like, I flew all the way here.
A small. I gotta see
Yeah, I
this
flew all the way here. It'd be nice if this lion attacked, uh, but
live.
but
Yeah.
they don't. They're mostly, and these tour guys, they know what to do. They get as close as possible. We were within a stone's throw of them, but
Uh huh.
they're mostly just chilled out. I saw, you
Yeah.
drive through the thing, you see I saw a couple carcasses, like you see a couple like we saw some dead buffalo, right?
Like zebras.
Dead buffalo
Oh,
that were
okay.
attacked, and they
Uh
were
huh.
eaten and they were attacked. And when I tell you, it
Uh
is
huh.
one of the worst smells
Oh.
you would ever smell. That's when I feel like that's like when the American came out, when like the city American came out of me, because after smelling that, I
Uh
was
huh.
like, do we have any, like, can we light a candle, or
Or
is there any Bed
something
Bath and Beyond candles that we can light
beyond.
in the car, or
Uh huh.
because it is one of the worst smells. Um,
And it's just in the African heat
yeah,
too, so it's just hot and
it was
smelly.
just horrible. One
Ugh.
of the coolest things is we saw a cheetah that was hunting on the prowl.
Wow.
So
Wait, for real?
yeah, so the cheetah. So this is how we saw it. We saw a bunch of hyenas, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
hyenas, they were all. It looked when we pulled up to them, they were all facing in one direction. It was like
Mm-hmm.
four giraffes, and it was like maybe 20 hyenas, but they were all looking in one direction. So I asked George of the Jungle,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why are the hyenas looking all in the same direction? And he notices and he's like, oh, this is good. He was like, that means that there's a predator nearby. So
Mm.
they're all on the lookout. So we
Mm-hmm.
go in the region of the where the hyenas is looking, like we drive further ahead, and then we see in the bushes, not far from us at all, it's a cheetah there. And he's
Oh.
like, the cheetah is hungry. He's hunting right now. And they can tell that. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, why don't they just leave this area? The hyenas, they see that the cheetah's there. Why don't they just leave this area? And he was like, because they're frozen, because they don't know how much of them are around. So they
Mm-hmm.
want to, and I'm like, if a cheetah takes off, it's gonna catch up to them right away because the cheetah is one of the fast animals. He's like, yeah. Apparently, the giraffes, they're so tall, they
Uh-huh.
help the hyenas be able to see because they can see the cheetah. So the giraffes,
Uh-huh.
apparently they tell the hyenas when a predator is coming,
It's
and gives them
close.
the heads up to
Hold
run
on,
away.
but don't don't the hyenas eat the giraffes though?
No,
No?
no. I don't think giraffes get hunted.
What? I see the lion. I watch National Geo all the time. Lions hunt giraffes. They jump up and they bite their big ass.
Well, I think that was a lion that got out of pocket.
Okay,
I
okay.
don't think
Messing up the
it's their natural
balance.
thing. Giraffes are all actually. I pet the giraffes. I went to the giraffe sanctuary and the giraffe hotel in Kenya,
Uh huh.
which is apparently,
Uh
I didn't
huh.
even know this. Apparently, huge thing on TikTok for the women. Yeah,
Really?
they love this. They love the giraffe hotel, and
What's
I pet the giraffes, and they're very strong.
really?
Yeah, and they like to headbutt.
Hmm.
So
I mean, that's their leverage.
yeah, so the whole thing about this giraffe hotel is you wake up and you have breakfast in your room, and the giraffes come up to your window in the
Uh
room,
huh.
and you could feed the giraffes,
Uh huh.
which in my opinion completely overrated. Look, not everything, you don't need to do everything you see on TikTok.
On TikTok. Adulterers, please take heed to this because this is lesson number two. We gave you the
Your
finesse,
clout,
the clout,
the
and now
refinance the clout.
don't do refinance the clout, and then now please do not do everything that you see on TikTok. Please continue. I'm
These
sorry.
people,
This
because these people, because listen, I lived it. These people go on TikTok. What they do is they'll go on TikTok. They'll hire these influencers. They'll hire basically a camera crew where
uh
it's
huh
perfect lighting, the filming is perfect, and the editing is perfect. And they'll have you thinking that that these things are ideal, you know.
uh huh uh
And
huh
then you'll actually go to the place and you'll find out it's nothing like you saw it on TikTok.
at all.
These giraffes, they headbutt. They can get they
Mm-hmm.
some of them are mean.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of flies, and
Mm-hmm.
they're wild animals. They're not meant to be.
Do they back kick
Yeah,
too?
they kick too. They
Yeah.
kick.
Like get out
They're
of here.
wild animals. They're not meant to be on your TikTok.
No, they're not. But you know what? This brings up a good point. I feel like I'm just gonna just go ahead and jump off a limb here. Outside of like celebrities, I feel like a lot of big TikTokers, they probably were a part of that like Tide Pod challenge generation.
Yes,
So like, what do we really expect from a generation of people who literally would like eat detergent? You know what I'm saying? Or am I tripping?
yes.
Let me
And
know.
let me tell you, it does not taste good. Um, but I'll I'll say this. I'll say this. And listen, I don't really go down TikTok too much. I stay on Instagram. I'll do the reels
Uh
on
huh.
Instagram.
Uh huh. Uh
It
huh.
is addicting, man. You could spend your whole day on that.
Bro, it's crazy. They tailored it for that.
Yeah.
Like they know. First of all, and another thing too is I don't know. I got a conspiracy video that says that like your iPhone is taking infrared pictures of you every 30 seconds or something like
Oh,
that.
really?
And like I don't know if that's what it says. I'll send you the video. I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. But if it is, it's just like they the algorithms is algorithm, and I don't know what that means, but basically they've engineered it so you can spend all day just going through reels, going through
Yeah.
TikToks. But what's even more disturbing is when you see like older people. Like I was DJing a gig a couple of weeks ago, and like the sound man was, he was an older dude, and he was on, I think he was on Facebook, and then he was on Tinder, and then he was on TikTok. I'm like, bro, you're a little bit too old to be
The
just like,
trifecta.
yeah, but like also like he was fully
What
TikToking
was
where
it?
if
What was
a
it?
video was
What was it?
longer,
It was Facebook, TikTok, and what?
Facebook, Tinder, and then TikTok.
Oh, that's the Holy Trinity.
That's the holy trinity right there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, I felt kind of gross because like Facebook, I understand they took that. That's their generation, the baby boomers, the Gen Xers. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like they commented that and we gave that up to them. But like to be on TikTok and like to be TikToking in the sense of if the video was longer than 6 seconds, he was just like, nah, I can't watch this. I'm like, bro, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
As
How are
a
you
person who has
defend?
done well on Reels, I will say if I come
Uh-huh.
up in your algorithm, if my comedy comes up in your
Uh-huh.
algorithm, that is the
Uh-huh.
universe telling you that you should be a fan of mine.
That's exactly what it's saying.
So don't skip past it. Listen. Sometimes you got to listen to when the universe shows you things.
I believe when the universes, you listen.
Right. Exactly. So
That's what my tarot card says.
right. So we did. You said tarot cards.
Tarot cards, yes.
You ever
Mercury is
dated a girl?
always in
You ever
retrograde.
dated or talked to a girl that was really into that?
Yes.
Dude, quick story. One time I went on this date with this girl who mid date she told me she was a witch.
Wow.
Yeah. She,
I know you continue to date for the story.
of course, you
Please.
know me. I don't end dates.
Of
I,
course.
I ride it
Yes.
out.
No.
Um,
This is gold. I'm
so she
here.
told me she was a witch, and and I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm a witch," and I'm like you do spells and potions?" And she was like, "Yeah," and
Did she go to
she was
Hogwarts?
like, "But I didn't get there because look what." So I was like, so she was like, "But I'm a good witch," and I was like, "What do you mean? I'm a good witch?" She was like, "Well, I can like read you your tarot cards or whatever,
Uh
and
huh.
let you know like, you know, about basically your future."
Uh
So you
huh.
know me, you tell me something like that, I'm in. I'm like,
You're in.
yeah, I'm like, do you have the cards with you? She says, like, as a matter of fact, I do. She reaches in her purse, pulls out tarot cards, right?
Uh huh. Uh
She
huh.
starts reading me my tarot cards in the middle of the table, middle of the dinner table.
Uh huh.
Now, I don't know
Uh huh.
anything about it, so everything she tells me to do, I'm just like, all right, I guess this is what you do.
Uh
She
huh.
spends about 5 to 10 minutes reading me my tarot cards, and in it,
Uh huh.
she tells me stuff about my past and tells me stuff about my future. Now, when I tell
Uh
you
huh.
she wasn't correct about a single thing she said,
Yes.
not one thing she said was
Uh huh.
accurate. But you're on a date, you
Okay.
can't just be like, yo, you're wrong. You know,
You're dead
she tell
wrong.
you these things, you got to be like, oh yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah,
How did you know?
yeah.
Uh huh.
She started telling me that I had some trauma, some childhood
Uh
trauma,
huh.
which I'm I didn't. I'm like
No.
my childhood was great. My both my parents
Uh
were
huh.
in my lives. They both took care of me. It
Uh
was
huh.
great. But she kept telling me that I had some trauma, like some trauma growing up, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I didn't, but on a date, you know, you gotta just agree. So you don't want to.
You, you got to keep
Yeah,
going.
I'm like, yeah. I guess I did have trauma.
But my thing is like I feel like I would be like an asshole in that situation where like first of all I'm a big Harry Potter fan, right?
Sure.
So I'd have just been like, where did you go to school? Where did you go to which school?
Well,
What kind of spells can you cast?
apparently to the witch people, apparently to the witch people, Harry Potter is like disrespectful to them.
Whoa, to the witch
Y-
community, the witching and wizards
Yeah,
community?
apparently it's like mocking their art or their trade.
Mm.
Yeah, they don't like it.
We gotta unpack this. If any of you adulterers are actually like, witches and do witchcraft and stuff, please hit us on the socials because we gotta unpack this because I've never heard of that. But like, you know, what's her name? JK, she made trillions of dollars off that Harry Potter stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you could be what do they want like reparations or something like that? Like how does that work?
I'm not sure. I'm not wired in as much to the witch
You're not
community,
tapped in, you're not tapped
not
in?
as much as I used to
Uh-huh.
be.
Uh-huh.
But I do know they don't like it, and also, I mean, when you're on a date, when you're on a date, also like this was like a first date,
Yeah.
and this is a tip. Also, this is a pro tip here. When you go on a date, ladies and gentlemen, don't try to be combative if you don't agree with something. Ease into it. Don't sit
Mm.
there on a date and tell a witch that her witchcraft is bullshit. You know?
Did you but at the same time too, all right, hold on. There's a lot of things here. So the first question I have for you is that like how did the date end? And this is a loaded question because like let's say that you had intentions to time travel. Did she predict the time travel?
When I tell you not one of her predictions was accurate, she like
Mm-hmm.
predicted I would be I would be like a state senator or some shit. I'm like, this isn't even. I mean, she didn't even bother, like, because I feel like a lot of times with these psychic and witches, what they do is they'll ask you a couple leading questions, and then
Uh-huh.
from there they're able to predict like what what might sound true to you, right? This
Uh-huh.
girl didn't even do that. She just started rambling off. I think she said that I was going to convert to Mormon or something. I'm like, this is not me at all. But of course, you don't say that.
No.
But that's date etiquette. You just be like, oh wow, yeah, I like the Mormons, the Book of Mormon. Um,
Bro, that is crazy and fascinating at the same time. So like, did you actually see her hat? Did you actually see her broom?
no,
Where the hell was her wand?
no.
Like, I have so many
That's
questions.
the thing too. Like she was one of these new age witches, lazy. Yeah,
Witches?
that don't do none of the things. Like if
Mm,
you're gonna be a witch, have the hat and a
oh, something.
and a broom and a cauldron where you mix
A
potions. You
cauldron.
know,
Well, see, I was about to say something, but I don't want to. You know what? Screw it. These new age witches can't cook, so what's she doing with a cauldron? You know what I'm
that
saying? That's not in their
this
vernacular.
is the thing about our generation. Which look, I know the podcast is called Adulthood. It's about adulting from the hood, but I don't like these new age things, like these new age
Witches?
professions where they modernize it, where they're just normal people. Like I'm used to, if you're gonna be a witch, you have to be like hocus pocus.
Yeah, you gotta witch it
You
up.
gotta
You know
dress
what I'm
in
saying?
layers. You gotta dress in layers and dark colors with a
All black. Yeah,
black pointy hat.
a crazy laugh. Don't be
Don't
having no
be
sick, like cute laugh.
right. Don't be
No.
sitting at a date at Ruby
Yeah.
Tuesdays wearing cargo pants and Vans,
Uh huh.
and then pull out
And
a deck
call
of
yourself a
cards. Yeah.
witch.
Um,
Yeah.
but that's I digress. The point is when every story leads to us giving the adulterers like some type of advice.
A tip.
And the pro tip I would say that I got from here is when you're on these dates, even if it's not if you feel like you're not interested in them, don't get combative. Because
Mm.
again, I didn't believe that she was a good witch because nothing she said about
Mm.
me was true. But
Uh huh.
I
Uh
don't
huh.
want to test it and upset her.
But at the same time too, you gotta verify. So like, did she have a witch license? How long was she witching for? Did she just start witching, or has she been witching? Because if she was new, then it's like, of course, she's not gonna give like a good read. But she's saying that like, yeah, I've been witching for 20 years, and you can't give me an accurate read. Then I don't
She
know.
was new to the witch game. She was new,
Boom, boom. Okay.
but she prefaced it by saying that she's felt that she's had these powers her whole life.
Um. Okay.
Did I
Okay.
ever tell you the
That
story
makes
about my
sense. That
aunt?
makes sense.
My
No.
aunt who got possessed?
No.
So long story short, because we wrapping up. We gotta go. I had an aunt.
Or should we save this for next week? Because we got to fully expound this. Should we save
Well,
this?
people have been telling us that we keep saying we're gonna save it for next week, and then next week comes and we don't even bring it up. So
That's adulting. That's
yeah.
adulting. Adulting is a forgetting when you're about to say something good. But all right, go
So
go for it. Let's
I
do it.
quick story. I'll end a quick story to end. Um, I got an aunt who gets possessed. That's been her whole thing since before I was born. This is 50 years. People in my family has been saying that she gets possessed and she gets powers from the afterlife. You know,
Uh-huh.
I'm
Okay.
not the biggest believer of these things, but I respect it. But I
Mm-hmm.
respect it. I'm
Okay.
not knocking your stuff. If this is what you do, I respect you and I respect the craft.
Yes.
One time, this was almost 20 years ago, maybe 15 to 20 years ago. We're at a party. We're at
Uh-huh.
a party. Um, some music comes on in Dominican culture. It's called the music is called palo, which is
Okay.
similar to tribal music. Like it's like tribal.
Okay.
It stems from Africa. It's like tribal
Mm-hmm.
music that's supposed to call on the spirits. The music comes on. My aunt activates. She gets possessed at the party.
Whoa.
Middle of a party, she's possessed. she starts going up to all family members and predicting what's to come for them, the future.
Uh-huh.
She goes up to an uncle, your wife is cheating on you, she's a bitch, whatever. She goes up to my sister, who at the time is 6 months pregnant. She
Uh-huh.
tells my 6 month pregnant sister that she's going to have a girl. My sister
Mm-hmm.
was hell bent on having a boy. She tells her she's going to have a
Mm-hmm.
girl. My sister is pissed for the rest of the night. She's just mad. She's like, I really wanted a boy.
Mm-hmm.
She spends the whole time upset because she wanted her boy. And she takes this like it was a doctor
Mm-hmm.
who saw sonogram and told her.
Mm-hmm.
Couple months later, my sister has a baby and it's a boy.
It's a boy.
Completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to tell my aunt about it. I'm like, press her about it and tell her
Mm-hmm.
that she was wrong. But my family
Mm-hmm.
insists on not telling, which is where I learned the lesson. Sometimes you have to play along with people's bullshit.
Uh-huh.
That's a major key.
That's a big
Cause
key right
I,
there.
I
That's an adulting
a
key.
lot of my, cause a lot of my younger years, I would want to call people out on their shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
learned part of adulting is just accepting people's bullshit. That brings us to the end of this episode. Uh,
Yo, you sure you're not a professor? Because you just professed right there, bro.
listen,
That's something you could walk away with from the
listen.
adulteries. You
The
know?
the
Ah.
the the we've been blessed. We've been blessed with the careers and the lives that we have. And I feel like this
And
whole
Wi-Fi
yeah, Wi-Fi in the jungle, everything.
in the tent.
And I feel
Yeah,
like this whole podcast is us giving back.
that's it. That's
That's why
it.
we do it. We do it to
Yeah,
give back to the people,
to the
and we want to
people,
help.
the people of the world,
Now,
because you world
some of
renowned.
you might ask, who are you trying to help? Some of you might ask, are you even qualified to help? You guys are not
Mm-hmm.
successful
Mm-hmm.
or any type of, and we're like, sure, all those things are right, but
Yep.
it doesn't stop us from doing it, no.
No, no. The Lord's work.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
Um, Tune in next week. I still got a couple more stories from Africa. I
Uh-huh.
got Canada, and I just got to Dubai, so I'm gonna have some hopefully some fun Dubai adult tips.